Hello, everybody. Welcome to my weekly meltdowns coverage of Big Brother Canada 10. With me tonight is the wonderful Beth Dixon, fanning her. Fanning her fan. Is that how you? Is that what the kids call it? I don't know.
It's a thwarp.
Oh, it's a thwarp. Okay.
Thwarped my fan. Also, how rude to get rid of my video.
I know.
Oh.
I didn't mean to. I have the grid up here for later when we're like talking about the house guests and stuff like that. Because we have so much to get into. Everything has changed from the last time that we went live to talk BB Can 10 last week with Allison. We thought Kyle has he has HOH. He's part of the 7, the core group alliance. Nothing's gonna really shake up too much with this HOH. Fast forward to now, I think this is an even worse HOH week than Frenchie in Big Brother 23. This is an all-time bad, Beth. And I feel like I have to explain this is how he got from point A to point B to point C, all the way to point Z, which ended up with a very satisfying blindside tonight. And so we have a lot to get into, but Beth, how are you feeling about the season so far?
Okay, so in full disclosure, before we even get going, I haven't really caught any of the episodes. I've just been keeping up with jokers and Twitter and, reading a few things and watching some of the live feed updates from RHAP and basically listening to the experts on the season. Tonight was my first live episode that I've watched, and I chose the right one to watch for the first time.
It's
so good.
It's crazy.
But I also just think too that they did a really good job for someone like myself who maybe didn't watch Monday's or last night's episode to be able to come in and go, oh, so Kyle was a fucking idiot this week. Great, cool. And
so you got that impression after just one episode, basically.
Yeah, I mean, listen, she was Arisa holds back no punches, and this.
Yes.
I just MVP of the episode goes to Arisa for majorly for being Josh, you are safe, and I was she understood the assignment.
She knew.
But that's the nice thing, that's the difference between Arisa and Julie is you have Arisa who's tweeting about the show constantly throughout the week. And that, I'm catching up with her on that. And then today she's tweeting out statistics, clearly is a fan of the show that she produces and hosts. And that doesn't happen with Julie all the time. Julie's too focused on the Bible right now, which is her prerogative. And that is fine. But when you are hosting a show like this, it just adds so much more when you have a producer role to be able to go, oh, I'm going to play around with a little bit this. I have to give the audience what they want.
Right, and not just hosting role, but producing role too. She was so BB Can 9 was the first season that she was executive producer for, and I think that it shows. And this tweet that Taryn highlighted as well, but I want to show it as well. So Arisa tweeted today, season 10 by the numbers. In the span of 2 weeks, we've had 6 comps with 6 different winners and 9 different players on the block in just 3 weeks, with the POV being won and used by a nominee all 3 weeks in a row, and no unanimous votes. This is what a successful season looks like, and I'm glad that she understands that this is what it takes to have a good season.
It's so good. And so I have to ask a question as someone who I've been following along with who's on the block and such.
Mm-hmm.
How are there 3 people on the block? Who's being taken down?
So all 3 weeks, the one of the nominees has 1 veto. So there's been a third nominee. Yeah.
Duh. I'm so stupid. I'm sitting here and I'm I thought that there were literally 3 nominees. And that's why I was what's happening to whittle it down to 2 or something? But that makes
And
sense.
Aaron says this trend continues tonight with a brand new HOH winner. Gino has not won a comp yet. Certainly not the result that we were all hoping for, but
I know
still some good stuff to break.
There was a clear hierarchy, I feel that most people wanted from that, which Gino was last, Marty was right above him, and then it was Kyle could be interested, or Kevin?
Mm-hmm. Kevin. Yep.
Kevin could be interesting. But I think most people were like, "Oh, we want to see Moose have his revenge here."
I know, and that's where I thought we were headed. But and it's funny, like after that second or third
Oh,
question,
and Betty was up there too.
yeah, Betty was like so funny. She was like dancing all around,
Betty needed to pee, and I don't think she has any nails on her fingers anymore because she was like chewing them off. But you know what? I'm chewing one of my nails because I started chewing and like watching what she was doing. And I bit one of my nails off, and now it's,
yeah, you certainly feel
sad.
that like nervous tension and stress, and I think that that's because like this house is just like has been totally shaken up. Like it's like, and I feel like everybody is like, nobody trusts one another. There's no like solid alliance structure anymore. People are reaching to like what's familiar with like a person or two that they still like somewhat trust after all this blowout. But we're in like a pretty weird like reset for
Mhm.
like where we're at right now, and especially with Gino winning HOH, I feel like everybody was kind of just waiting for Kyle's HOH to be over so that they can target him and reprimand him for what he's done. But that's certainly not going to happen this week with Gino being HOH. So
I mean, here's the thing. We know it's not going to happen because we've watched enough Big Brother, especially in the modern years, to know our dreams will not come true. We're smart enough to know that Big Brother fans only get 20 minutes of happiness per live episode, and that's it. And so we got our 20 minutes of happiness. And actually, I feel like it was more like 17. It wasn't even quite 20 minutes, but you know what? 20 is a max.
Yep.
So we have to assume that he's not going to, go against Kyle.
Yeah.
Now, if he were a smart game player, he would find a way to make new relationships and then backdoor Kyle in a sign of trust with those other people.
Yeah.
Because you are not going to go far if Kyle and does she go by JC or Jacey-Lynne, or does she go by JL? Or
she goes by Jace.
Jace. Okay. He's not gonna go far with just Jace and Kyle, right?
Right.
Is Marty gonna go flocking back to them? I don't know. I don't know if he can. Like, it's gonna be really interesting.
Tough after he voted like not with them tonight, right? Like that's certainly something to unpack as well.
Yeah. So I think it'll be interesting. I could see him punishing Marty. And I could also see, but it just would be such a smarter game move for him to go and try to find some other people to have in his corner. Whether or not he goes after Kyle, which I don't think he will, but if it would be really amazing if he did as a backdoor. I don't think he'll ever put Kyle up as a first nominee. No way. But if he were to create other relationships within the house, I think this could be a much more interesting week, even if we don't get like the desired outcome of Kyle leaving.
Yeah. So just to kind of recap, because this has just been like such a crazy week, and I want to give some context in terms of like where we were and where we are now, because it's a lot. It's a moment. So here's the basic breakdown for you, Beth, and everybody else as well. So the big like majority alliance, which was pretty solid heading into Kyle's HOH week, which is why I thought like, okay, this is just gonna be like a boring like week 3, like whatever, like let's just So the Savage 7 consisted of, and I say consisted in past tense, Kyle, Hermann, Moose, Gino, Summer, Tanisha, and Josh.
Mm-hmm.
So Kyle wins HOH and he wants to target Stephanie. And Stephanie really pushes back in a pretty effective and great way for her. And she's like, he basically says like, so many people are telling me that like you're coming after me, just like making up anything to say like, this is the reason that you're the target. Right. Basically, she's the target because like she was on the outs of everything and not really bonding with too many people, which I kind of called preseason because she just seems like pretty boring and generic person. So I don't know. Like, sorry, Stephanie, I'm sure you're lovely, but
hey, she caused a fight in the house, and that was the most she was gonna do. So she caused the Moose versus Kyle thing.
Yes. So Kyle wants to target Stephanie, and Stephanie like immediately gives pushback. Like give me specific names. And so Kyle says, "Oh, okay, fine. Like I'll tell you one. Like it's Moose. Like he's been like really trying to come after you. Like and Kyle just figured like I'm gonna say Moose because he's my alliance member. And like he'll back me up in this story. So right when he says that, Stephanie goes, "All right, let's bring him up here. Let's bring Moose up here now." And so she does, and Kyle's like super scared. He's like very afraid of confrontation. And this is where I think a lot of this mess stems from, is that Kyle is so young. And I feel like his anxiety is like really getting the best of him. Where he's like really overthinking things where like, okay, so I have this problem. I need to put up this person to fix this problem, but that creates a new problem. So I need to like have a contingency plan for that. And once you get like through all of these steps, you completely forget like your first goal in mind, right? So Stephanie brings up Moose, and Moose is like, no, it wasn't me. I never said that. I never did anything. And Kyle is like flabbergasted that Moose like doesn't lie on the spot for him. She basically like convinces Kyle that Moose is a dangerous player, and Kyle falls for it. So Kyle decides like, you know what, like I'm like this is like really stressing me out, so I'm just gonna put both of them up together, Stephanie and Moose. But of course, putting up Moose goes against the Savage Seven, so this is where all of this starts to really unravel. Moose then wins the veto, takes himself off. And Kyle brings in Marty since he sees that the 7 is starting to crumble, which is his own fault. At this point, like Hermann is pissed. Tanisha and Summer grow super distant from the 7, but they still remain a very tight duo, which is really good for the both of them. Marty starts whispering into Kyle's ear, like, listen, like, I think Josh is a great player. Very strong, like socially, could be strong, like very physically down the line as well. And of course, Marty doesn't know about the 7 either. So he doesn't understand that, like, that's somebody that can't be put up. Well, Kyle, he decides like, like, this is good. Like, I'm going to put up Josh. And he thinks that the votes are secured even, which is just like absolute insanity. Like he really thinks that like everybody in the 7 is going to go with him to take out Josh. Because now, like, by the end of this whole week, Kyle has put up 2 people of his own like majority alliance, and that's why I think
without telling them, it's not even and they were actually the targets too. Like that's the thing that's awful, right? Like it's not even like he sat back and was like, "Hey, you guys are going to go up as pawns, and I need people who I know we can protect up there." No, it was I'm going to go against you guys without even talking to you and just put you up.
Yes, and it's very like Kyle's whole attitude when he's like telling Moose, when he's telling Josh that he's putting them up and targeting them. He's saying like, Beth, like it's like, I know I'm probably going to fall on the sword for this, but like I have to make myself the all-star that I am in this game, and I need to make these tough decisions. It's very like nobody's asking you to do this.
The way my face the entire time as he's doing this would be this.
Yeah, and that's basically everybody's face, like, in the house, like, and so everybody is just like scared to death of like the landmine, like being underneath them that they don't even know about, the landmine named Kyle. And it's just like a huge mess. So let's see. So then Jessica wants to keep Josh because she feels bad voting out Melina and Jay, like 2 people of color. Like Jay was another non-binary person. So like Jessica is just like really zooming out of the optics of taking out Josh next. And I think it's okay for Jessica to feel this way because
definitely.
Because, well, first of all, it's valid, and second of all, like Jessica doesn't really have any alliances at this point, so vote however you want. Like, you are a free agent, so do whatever whatever floats your boat. So in the meantime, Summer, Tanisha, Hermann, and Josh form an alliance of 4 because they've started comparing notes and realizing like, there's like a crack down the middle here of this 7. So it's basically turning into Kyle and Gino and Marty against like Summer, Tanisha, Hermann, and Josh. They want to bring in Betty and Kevin kind of as well, but like Kevin still dabbles with Kyle and Marty a little bit. And the issue is, Beth, that like there is this like big mighty middle, but like they just can't get their shit together, and we
They
saw
don't get
that
on the
tonight.
same page. Yeah. And so what I thought was interesting is in the chat that I was watching, Sasha Joseph from RHAP made up this comparison that I brought up ahead of time that you said I was going to bring this up too. And this comparison is this relationship between Kevin and Betty feels very similar edit wise to what we saw with Stephen Moses versus Becky
Yeah.
in BB17. And I think that's a fair comparison. You know, you have like the two people who are in the middle who have loose connections to other people
and who need each other.
But and there's like, except for I almost feel like, you know, Becky was kind of like unaware of like Steve's like thing.
Yeah, it's out front here.
I would say Betty is more the Steve in a situation in this, you know,
totally.
like where Kevin is not. Now, I will say this too. Now, we're talking about two people who I think have their own, you know, socialization kind of, I don't even want to say issues. I just think that they're different and that's okay.
Yeah.
But I just don't think that they mesh. And so you have Kevin who is actually trying to help Betty and say, listen, if you can keep this act up, people won't assume that we're working together. But he doesn't have the communication skills to be able to tell Betty properly. Like, he's not like telling her, like he gets kind of like in her face and it seems like it's like really threatening or like he's like bossing her around. And Betty's a strong woman. She's like, you weren't going to tell me to do that. Like blah, 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 blah. Oh, so you're going to come after me now? And it's just like a whole misunderstanding situation that's actually just like a comedy of errors. That's funny to watch.
Yeah.
But it is going to be interesting. Like, so who is trying to pick up Kevin and Betty? You said Kyle, Marty, and Gino are?
So the two people that are trying to, or no, the group that's trying to pick up the two of them is Summer, Tanisha, Hermann, and Josh.
Gotcha.
Like basically they're just trying to get the numbers on their side to form this this anti-Kyle
And that's
thing.
happening now?
Yeah. The issue is that Betty and Kevin can just like, and Jessica as well, like these three players, and Helena as well. Helena's like a little bit more aware of her situation, but she is, and we saw this a little bit tonight, Beth, like she is just so stuck in indecisiveness that like it's, I was just telling this to Tim, you know, like when a huge fallout like this happens in the Majority Alliance, in like the big structure of the game, you do have to kind of reach for what's familiar. So like Summer and Tanisha, they're like really sticking together through all of this. We saw like Jessica and Kevin kind of coming together as well. Kyle and Gino, they've like really paired up as well through all of this mess. The problem is if you don't have like anybody that you trust, like if you have like a ride or die, who are you gonna go to after the fallout? So I think like that's what Helena is kind of struggling with, that like no matter who she decides to go with, like she's still going to be on the bottom of whatever formation she goes to.
So the edit tonight leads us to believe that Helena's pretty in lock and step though with Summer and Tanisha, at least just the two of them. Now we know that Hermann and Josh are also probably a part of that fivesome.
Yeah,
I would not be shocked from what I understand, and you can completely correct me and tell me that I'm wrong here, but I wouldn't be shocked if both Summer and Tanisha are going to try to play this middle between Josh and Hermann and Helena. And like Helena will be a part of that, but they don't want her to feel like she's the bottom rung. I think that they're going to try to be like, it's the three of us women plus the two guys. But to the two guys, they're going to be like, it's like the four of us.
Yeah, and
plus,
that's
you know what I mean?
exactly like, this is like best case scenario, Beth, and this is the direction that Helena should go in, because like the way to make yourself like more powerful in an alliance where you're on the outs is exactly the setup. So she needs to get in with Summer and Tanisha and Hermann and Josh. Like that is two groups of two where you are like the one person in the middle of both of those, kind of like the glue holding everything together. I will say, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead and finish your part.
Yeah, and I will say I'm glad that tonight they showed the conversation in the Expedia room with Summer and Tanisha when Helena goes in, because Helena like flat out said, I watched this on the feeds. Helena was flat out like, listen, like, I don't know who to trust. I need like an olive branch from somebody is what I need. And Tanisha says like, listen, like, I'll tell you right now, we had the Savage Seven. Kyle went against it. So we are free agents now and we're like not a part of it. And I think
I
that it's,
loved the way that Summer also was direct, but did it in such a way that like put the ball in Helena's court too, which was I loved her like tell me what I can do to be a good ally to you right now. Like
yeah,
what would be something? Because it does first of all, that's actually a sign of an incredible game player for two reasons. One, you were saying, "What do you need from me?"
hmm,
Instead of having to guess and assume something that you could be wrong, get the information firsthand from that person and then do what they say. Then I like how Tanisha comes in and goes, "Here, I'll give out some information because I know that you're afraid to say something, which is understandable. I'll tell you
yeah,
something and
right.
I'll
Like she
like
was
level that
hesitating in
playing."
that moment, and Tanisha
Right.
took advantage of that by saying like,
Mhm.
listen, you don't have to go first. I'll go first.
And that's
Here
what
it
I think
is.
is so great about these two as a duo. But if they were smart, and I think that it's smart of them to pick up Josh and to work with Herman, I think that's fine. But I do think it would be even better for them to really lean into keeping Helena very close to them. Because Helena, like you said, from what I understand, very self aware, understood what her position was in the middle. She liked that she was invisible, that she wasn't getting a target put on her. And now people are starting to kind of look around as because you don't know with everything exploding around you, you have to look at, well, what's everybody's position? And all of
Right.
a sudden, she's getting blown up on the spot too. So when you have the ability to have two people, kind of freely give you information and welcome you in with open arms, like, and then you vote with them and all these other things, like, I have to imagine they're going to be pretty strong going in. Now, my other question is, what do you think will happen with Moose this week? Do you think he'll try to move with Herman and Josh, Summer, Tanisha, and Helena? Or do you think that he's I just
It's
it's gonna
really
be
tough
interesting.
because like this HOH win like really puts a wrench in a lot of I
Yeah.
feel like so much of the past like 2 or 3 days has been like, I can't wait for Kyle to be out of HOH so we can start like getting stuff together and forming new alliances, like,
Mhm.
and Summer and Tanisha were the two that like benefited the most from, like, I feel like they got so much information from so many people
Mhm.
with all of this fallout because Summer has been so out in front. We saw that on
Yeah.
the episode tonight. Even like for the live eviction, she was very like, you could see on her face like exactly like how she felt about the whole thing.
Yeah.
But now that Gino is the one in power, do you like double down on that, especially if you're Helena? Do you like really like still go with them? So and same for Moose too, is to answer your question, I guess. I just like I'm really not sure. Like I think that there's no way that he works with Kyle anymore.
No,
So,
no, no. But
I
does he
think
put
like
up appearances with Gino this week? Because I could see people putting up appearances only to try to win power next week to still try to get rid of Kyle. You know what I mean?
honestly, like what I think like would be best case scenario for him, and Summer, Tanisha, Helena, basically everybody. I mean, even Marty didn't vote with Kyle tonight, which was
Mhm.
it's like the fact that Kyle thought that he had Marty, and even Marty like turned his back on him, is just so bad, right? Like the only two votes were Gino and Jacey-Lynne.
Mhm.
So I feel like we could have like a Big Brother 10 first week situation where everybody goes up to Jerry in the HOH room and says, "Listen, we got to get rid of Brian. We got to get rid of Kyle here." And I think that like
Yeah.
Gino is not, and Jacey-Lynne as well. They are not the brightest bulbs in the hallway. Like they're just like showmancing it up and just kind of like just chilling. Like Gino is kind of like uh he doesn't really have a pulse on like the intensity of the Kyle of it all.
Mhm.
So I feel like the only way that he would turn his back on Kyle, his bro, his bud, basically, is like if the whole house like comes to him and says like, Gino, You have to do this, or like you guys are going to be put up next together.
I could also, so if it doesn't happen that way, I could also see this 5 trying to put the blame on somebody who's unattached to others, right? And
Yeah.
said, like, Kevin did a really good job of turning us, which they could even get to Marty, and Marty would probably jump on that as well and go, well, Kevin really helped make up my mind to go against Kyle here.
Mm-hmm.
I could see them potentially putting Kevin up as a target.
Yeah. And that's where like situations like this are where your your supporting cast instead of main cast kind of like might take a hit here. So like
Yeah.
if the HOH is a wash and like differences of like who should be put up, this is where like a Jessica could go home. This is where a
Mhm.
Betty could go home. This is where a Kevin could go home. And yeah, I'm curious if Gino would be bold enough to put up Summer and Tanisha together. I guess it depends on like how influential Kyle can be.
Kyle clearly also doesn't know what's going on in this house, right? So I
Yeah,
think they're going to go off of body language and they're going to assume, well, Summer, you were laughing and smiling because you knew it was going to happen. You couldn't even contain it. And then if they feel really betrayed by Marty, I could see a Marty and Summer together on the block. And I could see Marty go home this week because I think that more people would vote to save Summer.
it's also going to be really interesting to see like who what information is like given back to Gino and Kyle this
Yeah.
week. Like does Marty, like especially Marty, does Marty run back to the two of them and say like, listen, like I was played, I was fooled, that type of thing, I'm with you guys.
Yeah.
And honestly, if I were Marty, I think that's probably the best thing for him to do.
Well, I think what would be smarter is for him to figure out what everybody else is saying.
Hmm.
Because if they're all going up and being like, here's what's bad about Kyle, blah, 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 and he goes out and goes, I was out.
That's interesting. Yeah, I
You know what I
guess like
mean?
the issue with that, right? Exactly. Like kind of like see where the wind
Yeah.
is flowing. The problem is there's no like one person this season that is directing directing the sale, like directing like where the wind is taking the house.
Hmm.
Like there's not like one, like there's not like a Cody of Big Brother 22 or anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's no I feel like it's a lot of messy groupthink in a group that like just can't trust each other anymore.
Right.
In the worst possible HOH result for all of this to continue a week.
But worst possible in terms of like the people we don't want to see win. But in terms of the game, not gay, in terms of the game, the minority alliance just won, which is very interesting when it comes to the power shifts in this house as things are falling apart. So I do think it will be interesting to see what happens. I think you can count on the veto being used this week.
Yeah, totally.
Well,
Yeah,
actually,
that's true.
I'm going to say maybe not. In a week where people don't know where the lines are, they're probably more hesitant to play use the veto. Because like if Tanisha were to win and took Summer down, does that mean Hermann or Josh go up or Helena? You know what I mean?
I really could see Gino putting up Helena. Also, another thing to keep in mind, Beth, is that Gino and like of course we're getting like the Gino and Jacey-Lynne showmance, but Gino and Summer have had a very like flirty thing
Yeah.
this whole time. She was like just on top of him. Like I saw like a clip on Twitter of him, or like as soon as somebody like walked into the room, she like sprinted off of him basically. But like they've been caught a few times snuggling and canoodling, so like I wonder, like to Summer, I would love to see her do this, like cash that in a little bit more, like make sure he's feeling good in that HOH bed, if you know what I mean. Use all the things that you've got at your disposal to keep it going, because I see a really great player in Summer.
But
And
here's the issue though that I've seen from online, and you can correct me if this doesn't seem to be the case. There's been a
yes.
few people who have said that Gino has over the past couple of days told Summer like I don't want to be flirtatious, like I'm and that kind of thing, and that she's still kind of trying to push it a little bit on him. So it's just It'll be interesting to see now that he has the HOH room. Like, is she gonna walk in on Jace jerking him off, kind of thing?
Right. So I guess like maybe right, and like certainly like there have been HOHs like that. Like I'm thinking like Big Brother 11 specifically when Jesse was HOH, but even if it's not in like an outright sexual way, like the groundwork for like a side relationship, like even like a working relationship, to the point of like when there's still like 13 people left in the house, you don't need to go after Summer and therefore Tanisha just yet, especially when like the Bettys and the Jessicas and the Kevins of the world are still very much so contenders to be taken out. And I gotta say, like these floaters have been like, this is like the luckiest game that they've had so far, because it should be them like every week, but like some shit happens and but like they're just totally forgotten about. And especially Jessica and Kevin. Betty not so much, because she's just like a very blunt person. Like she's like I don't know. I'm just like, I'm not feeling Betty. She's entertaining, but she's not a great player.
I have the sense that she doesn't have the best social skills in terms of being able to read other people. Like she's really blunt and that kind of thing. It's just so funny because we'll get to the draft in a second.
Yeah.
But she is so exactly who I thought she would be based off of just zodiac sign and her looks.
What is her zodiac sign? Can you?
She's one of the Virgos.
Okay.
So she's somebody who wants it done her way, and she doesn't want to listen to anybody else. Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah. So while like Betty is like on the decline strategy wise, like I'm really liking what I'm seeing from Jessica and Kevin comparing notes, and the longer that they stay in, both of them, and the longer they're comparing notes, especially because like especially with this week, like I could see Jessica getting more info from like Josh and Summer and Tanisha.
I was just gonna say, I kind of felt like Josh and Jessica may have a small like working relationship as well.
Yeah, exactly. And so therefore like she kind of has like an olive branch to like that new group of 5.
Are Jessica's pronouns they them, or are they she her? Or
yes, I'm sorry if I misgender. I'm sorry.
I just don't remember if she's she they, or if Jessica's they them only.
Jessica goes by she they.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
I think they prefer they, but
okay.
They have said that they're fine with she as well. Okay. So if I say the wrong thing, I'm sorry. But
it's not the wrong thing if they're fine with it. You know what I mean?
That's so like Jessica has an olive branch to that 5, where I feel like Kevin has more inroads with Kyle, Marge, and Gino. So it's like with those two like different groups of the house that they have eyes on, I think they're in a really, really good position. So just write it out. It would have been disastrous if Kevin won HOH tonight, I think.
Now, I'll also say this, though. I really think that if Gino, at the very least, even if he doesn't listen to Kyle, I'm going to go back against what I said before, which would be it would be smarter for him to put him up as a replacement nom. I do think that'd be smart, but that really doesn't benefit his game, actually. Because he knows that they're just going to go after Kyle next week, right? So keep him in the game. But he should be making my point still stands that he needs to branch out and try to create other connections. If Gino could get in better with Moose again, I think that'd be really good for him. And then I think if he could get in with like
the problem is that like while he still has Kyle around, like that is just such a liability now that like it's going to turn off Moose and Hermann and stuff from wanting to work with him.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, but I also want to make sure like if he's like, listen, I mean, I got to keep him, but know that I want to work with you guys. If you guys have to go after him next week or whatever, I'm fine with that. I'll do that with you, but I got to keep him in this week. Because all that's going to happen is that he's putting himself in a great middle for those guys to keep going after each other and not target him.
Yeah. Oh, God, because like, what if Kyle wins HOH next week?
I mean, but then Gino's not going home, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But if they get out Kyle this week, who is Gino? Gino could be very much a nominee next week if they get Kyle out this week under
Yeah.
his HOH.
Exactly. And that's a good question for like not just Gino but everybody in this game is like what's the move post Kyle? And now like because Gino won HOH like you kind of have to like wait a whole nother week before you can even start asking that question. So I feel like we've seen a lot of shifting around in alliances these past few days. I feel like by the time we get to next week's show here, I'm gonna have a different set of 5. I'm gonna have a different set of 7. That's where I feel like we're headed towards like BB Can 9 like fluidity and chaos because like nobody can just make up their damn minds.
Yeah.
And for that I'm thankful. And I'm thankful that Arisa Cox identifies that it's because they've made the comps like so much more even this season that the same 3 people aren't winning like 80% of the comps this season.
Also, they're relying on their cast.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It's been a very inconsequential like twist season so far. So as I was telling you, like Marty won safety this past week. I think it's just like the result of like a casual vote.
You know what I think would be great is if literally nobody kisses ass to Gino this week. Nobody does it.
Literally nobody visits the HOH room.
Because at the end of the day, it's just like, listen, one of us is going to have to be the sacrificial goat this week. Sorry about it, y'all. Like somebody goes, we're going to vote you out. It's not personal, but it's a house thing. We're all going after Kyle next week. Kyle cannot win HOH. And then Gino's after him. Like, you know what I mean? Yep. Like, it would be so iconic if they're like, yeah, nominations, whatever. Yeah, veto, whatever. It would just be so freaking iconic if nobody kissed ass.
Right. Joseph asks, what should the house promise to Gino and Jacey-Lynne to make sure Kyle leaves this week? There will be so much butt kissing. It will be both funny and a little pathetic.
I don't think Summer's going to kiss ass as much as, like you said, is just going to like flirt, but I feel like most other people will kiss ass.
I honestly feel like the BB10 week 1 way to is probably like the best way to do it. Like going up there as a group of like, gosh, okay, let's see. So like who would go up there for that? Helena, Hermann, Josh, Jessica,
Kevin,
Summer, Tanisha, Moose, certainly. Yeah, like this is like the entire house. So like if you go up there
it's probably besides Betty.
Yeah.
And Jace.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Well, Jace will probably already be in the room
as well. Like, so like leave out like Betty, Jace, Kyle, and Marty.
But here's the thing: you have to assume Jace will be in the room with Gino.
Yeah, that's true.
So at this point, just have a fucking house meeting.
But right, exactly.
Who gives a shit if Kyle and Betty here? Because honestly, Betty will probably just be like, "Yeah, okay."
I actually think that Jace being in the room for that would make the goal of getting Kyle put up even better because Jace like just lost her number 1 ally tonight. So she's in an insecure spot right now. She's all in on her showmans who like Gino like really doesn't care like that much about her.
Here's what they should do. Collectively as an entirety of the house, go up and say, if you don't put up Kyle, next week we promise we will put you and Jace up next to each other.
Yeah.
All of us collectively, that is the game plan next week. You put up Kyle this week and we will send him home, but you don't do it until after the veto. Sorry, Kyle. Can't play in the veto. I don't even care if he's sitting there. I don't give a shit. If I were any of them, I'd be like, house meeting, but it's not one person calling a house meeting. It's literally the house calling a meeting for like 2 people and then just sitting back and go, if you don't do this, literally all of us are coming after you 2 next week and we'll get Kyle out another time.
Exactly. Like you will shift yourself up like even bigger target than Kyle, which is a hell of a place to land yourself in.
So you can choose, do you want to hope that Kyle gets chosen for the veto and wins, in which case that's out of your hands? Or do you want to do the right thing and backdoor Kyle?
God, I would love to see that. That's like an uprising against like a government.
It's the proletariat.
Yes, exactly. And I feel like Gino would just be like, oh wow, okay, like that's all we're getting from him. He's like not entertaining at all.
Can we? I love when they were like, we shouldn't be seen with each other after they just made out in the bed, and they were like, 3 people walked in on you guys, like,
Right.
cuddling in the bed together. They knew what was going on. They even said, "Sorry, I'm sorry to interrupt you guys because we shouldn't be seen together." Yeah, because it was so unobvious.
Right, exactly. I was there for Jessica's like eye rolling at the beginning of that episode with JC and Stephanie, because that's how like everybody's feeling about Gino and JC at this
Mhm.
point. All right, so let's I'm gonna go ahead and take this off here for a second, and I'm gonna share our patron draft. So Adrian lost his first person tonight, and Beth, I just gotta say your draft team is looking very, very good. These are 3 very rootable people here. And my
Was
draft team
Melina
is
not drafted?
so we what we did was I think we said that whoever was the first boot gets Kevin in replace of Melina, because there was 16 and
That's
we had
right.
15 picks.
I was so confused for a second.
Yeah, but who do you think? Oh, Matt has the showmans here together. That's funny. Who do you think? Like, what are you thinking about these draft teams here? Pretty interesting, right? Like, I feel like
Yeah.
our groups are like semi-aligned with like who is in the group.
Yeah, I was gonna say Adrian's got 2 people who are kind of working together.
Uh-huh.
You have a really interesting group. Uh, you have like the house's number 1 target.
Mm-hmm.
The person, like the house, collectively came together to save,
Yeah.
and then somebody who I just feel like has been in every big alliance and that nobody is like putting their eye on
Yeah.
at this point.
I
I
really
just
think that it's Hermann's season to lose at this point is what I personally feel.
I think that's a fair assessment from what I see. Allison has a very eclectic team.
Yeah.
Allison is the most eclectic team.
I feel like these teams are very reflective of who we are as people.
100%, except for Matt having the showman stuff.
Right, exactly.
That is so against what Henning likes. It's like a showman.
Well, there was no crazy hair, so like he had to go for tattoos this time. So
yeah, it's true. It's true.
experimenting with his formula.
That's right. And also Matt didn't get to choose Jace, right? No, he did.
He did,
chose
yeah.
Jace first. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think I have the best team. I'm going to be honest with you, and that's
I think so too.
I'm biased, but I think in terms of I think the 3 of my people comparatively are in better positions, but I might eat those words within how many hours from now when they do the nominations. Who they'll probably watch. They'll put like Summer and Tanisha up, or they'll be
Yeah.
like Moose and Summer or something like that. I'll be like, well, no longer do I have a good team. So
Yeah. But that's what we like to see here in BB Can, is just like the season is just like still in a very fluid state. Who knows like how it's going to shake out from here on out. But I guess like at this point, I'm just gonna bring up the board one more time. So Beth, who are you feeling is like winning the game at this stage?
I think Josh, Hermann, or Tanisha.
Okay. Let's see. I think I'm gonna go with. I think it's her. I think Hermann is gonna be the winner of the season. I would love to see Summer win, but I feel like those facial expressions are gonna bite her in the butt.
I think she'll get cut for that. And I think that Tanisha will outlast her in the same way that like when there was like the Tina and what was her face? Tara last year.
Mm-hmm. It's very much so like that.
They're very similar in terms of their dynamic, and I can see Tanisha go farther in this situation, even though she's more like Tina. I feel like in this situation they would go after Summer before Tanisha, and I think that could actually, depending on where that is in the game, could benefit Tanisha.
That's a really good point and a really good comparison. And I wonder like where Tanisha a post Summer eviction is really interesting to me. Like I would hope that she would succeed, but I could really see her fizzling out in a way that Tina fizzled out like her last few weeks in the Big Brother house. You know, everybody like built Tina up as this like really great strategic player.
And she started off super strong and then fizzled.
Yeah.
But what I'm hoping happens here, because Tara was top 3 last year. So in this situation, if Summer is Tara and Tanisha is Tina, I think it would, if one of those two wanted to win, I think that Tanisha has what it takes in terms of being able to like control her facial expressions and be harder to read, like Tina was to a certain extent. I could see her being more successful farther. And if she made it to the top 3 like Tara did, I could see her actually getting votes.
Yeah. True. So that is that's where we're at in BB Can 10. Very excited with how this season has turned out so far. And I actually like, I know BB Can gets a lot of shit for the edit not portraying the show accurately, especially compared to Big Brother US, but I will say that like especially given like how complex like the storyline has been this week, they've done a really good job with laying it out, like showing a cohesive story that is accurate to what has been happening.
Like I said, I came in having not watched Monday and Wednesday and got it like that. Now again, I've been keeping, and so I knew parts of the information. I just didn't know. I had the puzzle pieces. I just needed a chronological figure out. Yeah, and so I thought they did a really good job of that tonight before the vote. So
totally. So I think that wraps it up for us. Any last thoughts on BB Can 10 before we bounce out of here?
No, I think it's a good season.
Alrighty. So we will be back on Wednesday to talk about episode 3 of Survivor 42. Cannot wait for that. And then next Thursday we'll be back for Gino's HOH, whoever he wants to evict. We'll see what happens there. I really have no idea like how this will go this week. So God, we'll see. I'm excited to see it play out. But all right. Well, and Beth, do you have anything that you want to promote or anything here?
No, I mean, if people want to follow me on Twitter, follow me at AugustaWind11. I'm still podcasting for Hot Mess Moments, even though we've had such a hard time scheduling out things. We watched the next couple of episodes of Lost, but just haven't recorded yet. And I have lots of thoughts. But then I'm also still doing the RHAP Drag Race Wrap Up, the season that never ends and never eliminates people.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Even though it's good, it's a good season. Just fucking let them go. Let them leave.
We're all like tortured, but like it's like going on too long. Like some of these shows, like it's
just because. So here's just to put this contextually, like Amon, Liana, and I started covering like what, New Year's Day or something like that was the first like episode of season 14, and then a month later, 4 episodes in, they started UK versus the World, an All-Stars, like World All-Stars one that only had 6 episodes. It's already done. In the 6 episodes that were recorded in that 6-week period, 2 queens went home on season 14. Send them home!
Yeah, that is way too much. Yeah.
And the worst part is, Tyler, we already know one person's going to be saved from a bar of chocolate, and we just don't know who has it. So we already know someone's not going home in the next couple weeks.
Is the bar of chocolate like a hidden immunity idol, basically?
So everybody had to sign out a chocolate bar, and it's supposed to be like a Willy Wonka thing where you open it up, and if it's a golden bar, then even though you lost the lip sync, you're still in the competition. And nobody has gotten it opened yet, which we all know is rigged by production. Yeah. It's not like in episode 4 it was going to happen. So I'm like sitting back and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? We have not had an eliminated person in all of the month of March.
God, that is awful.
Which is, granted, is only 2 episodes, but still.
Yeah.
It's a competition reality show where nobody's gone home for 2 episodes.
Right.
If there's not a triple elimination this week, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Oh God. Well, sending thoughts and prayers to you all
Thank you.
that have to cover just like this longest. It's turning into like a season of the challenge. I feel like in terms of just like how long it is, but with like half the cast, so like it shouldn't even be a thing.
Stupid VH1, man.
It
It was never like this when it was on Logo.
They know they need that ad revenue. That's what it really boils down to.
Well, here's the thing: just order more seasons then, because you
Yeah.
already know that they're willing to.
Careful
Make
what you
them.
wish for. Do you want to cover more seasons back to back to back?
Well, no.
Exactly.
I'll take the
Pick your
paycheck.
poison. Right, that's true. That's
But
true.
it's just a lot. We were looking at it. There are so many Drag Race franchises now too. It's ridiculous. So
Yeah.
it's just there's plenty. There's plenty. They're starting Drag Race France,
Crazy, crazy, crazy. Well, um,
Philippines.
well, I can't wait to hear your thoughts on Lost. I'm not watching this season of Drag Race, but I can't wait to hear your thoughts on Lost because I love the Hydra Island part of. A lot of people don't like the beginning of season 3, but I really love it.
Okay,
it's like
I will
melodramatic in a good way.
teaser for my thoughts. The writers were very fucking high. They were so high. They said, "What if we're so high that we made Locke so high?" So that is your teaser.
But is that when he's the pot farmer?
The pot farm. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm,
All right. Just
mhm.
making sure I didn't spoil. Yeah. That
So
is a.
high.
Yeah. That was not a good episode.
So high.
Yeah. All right. Well, everybody have a great rest of your night. Take care, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.